The fairy tale fate didn't just crack at Sundance, it shattered under the bright Utah lights, and everybody watching could practically hear the glass hit the floor. Hollywood's most awkward royal moment wasn't whispered behind velvet curtains. It played out in real time in front of cameras, critics, and rows of empty seats. This was supposed to be the big comeback, the prestige pivot. The see? We're serious filmmakers era. Instead, it turned into a weekend of side eyes, secondhand embarrassment, and one very uncomfortable cookie question that refuses to die.
Today, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's epic disaster at the Sundance Film Festival, where they can't even fill one movie theater.
Meghan Markle attended Sundance for the premiere of her new documentary, Cookie Queens, and she couldn't even sell out the screening.
Meghan Markle forced her own introduction, and she did it again. She inserts herself where she doesn't belong.
How much does it cost and how do you get in? Because you can see that there are a lot of empty. There's one guy or a lady, I don't know, running away from Meghan.
As of now and as of taping, no one bought it. It's still unsold. No streamers are getting it yet. I imagine Netflix will have an opportunity.
Netflix can now undercut her completely and 100% on this project if it doesn't sell. Honestly, I would guess that's the game they're playing.
They cannot even give that interview without snapping at the reporter and looking like an absolute cow.
Thank you so much for being here bright and early. I know some of you probably had late nights last night, so...
No, Meghan, that's only you and your testicle husband that had late night because you're up doing snow and drinking your free wine.
Really, the nostalgia of Girl Scout cookies, as if it's like Monopoly or Barbie. She's trying to turn it into a IP.
Please have the Duchess of Sausages, have the opportunity to see the Duchess of Sausages, 50 Shades of Orange Marmalade.
This is a good question, and this is a question Meghan invited by talking about herself and referencing herself.
Interesting. I think we'll continue to explore whatever feels right. But Alyssa's all.
So she doesn't really have an answer to that question. And she should have an answer to that question. If it's so important, if you're producing a film, if you're saying, I was a Girl Scout and it was so great, why aren't you saying, yeah, we're looking to put her in or something like that? And again, I understand somewhat from security reasons, but there was a way, I think, to handle that question better than just going, I don't know.
Before anyone even got to the film, the optics were already brutal. A Sunday morning premiere, a balcony that looked like it was socially distancing from itself. People online didn't just notice, they zoomed in, counted seats, and turned it into a meme before brunch. For a couple who built a brand on global star power, the visual landed like a punchline nobody meant to tell. And here's where the timing made everything messier.
Meghan Markle cannot even name her favorite Girl Scout cookie. Yeah, she is at a premiere for a new movie called Cookie Queens, which she executive produced about girls selling Girl Scout cookies. And yet the woman cannot name a favorite Girl Scout cookie.
Just days earlier, there were courtroom tears, emotional testimony, and heavy words about privacy, trauma, and media harm. Then, boom, red carpet, flashbulbs, interviews, speeches. The contrast gave critics whiplash. Supporters called it complicated. Skeptics called it convenient. Either way, the shift from solemn courtroom to Sundance spotlight in under 72 hours became the subtext of the entire weekend. Now let's talk about the stage moment, because people are still talking.
Prince Harry in the High Court in the UK saying, goodness me, my life has been destroyed by the fact that people want to write articles about me. And then literally hours later, turning up on a red carpet.
Sundance isn't just another premiere stop. It's sacred ground for indie filmmakers. Respect the craft, respect the director, respect the story. That's the unspoken code. So when protocol looked bent, let's just say industry folks noticed. Fast.
But Meghan's reaction to the director's speech, well, look, let's just watch together because it's very odd. She hates someone else being in the spotlight.
The expectation was clear. This premiere would place them shoulder to shoulder with serious creatives. A statement, a rebrand, a move away from tell-alls and toward meaningful storytelling. But when the theater vibe didn't match the ambition, the narrative started writing itself, and it wasn't flattering.
Attending the Sundance Film Festival can cost anywhere from $35 for a single online screening to over $10,000 for a full access VIP experience. I want the VIP experience to meet Meghan. Hey Meghan, it's me.
Empty seats at a festival where films sell out on reputation alone? That's not just bad luck, that's a headline. Especially when, as insiders pointed out, other screenings in the same venue were bursting at the seams.
People were talking about they did not sell out their Sundance Film Festival 2026 screening. And thanks to this clip, I saw this clip in Sabira's account. 5-minute mark of this video, the left up top of the balcony is where all the empty seats is, because people were saying that this was sold out.
Those pricey pass holders skipping the screening became symbolic. Online chatter turned it into a verdict. Audiences weren't chasing the Sussex brand the way they once did. Fair or not, perception is everything in Hollywood, and perception took a hit.
Roughly 150 unoccupied spots remained in the balcony, plus some scattered chairs on the ground. That number tightened to about 60 as lucky waitlisters slow-filled empty places.
Then came the comparisons, and they were savage. Other films had lines, buzz, overflow crowds. Meanwhile, this premiere became the one people referenced with a raised eyebrow and a yikes. It was supposed to prove star power. Instead, critics argued it raised questions about whether that star power still pulls. But the most replayed moment of the weekend wasn't about ticket sales. It was about a cookie. After months of positioning this documentary as a heartfelt, personal passion project tied to childhood memories, one simple question landed like a trapdoor. What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie? The answer, broad, safe, oddly impersonal, set social media on fire. Not because of the cookie itself, but because people expected warmth, nostalgia, a specific memory.
The Sussexes couldn't sell out Sundance. Although Prince Harry and Meghan Markle attended the Park City, Utah of the new documentary they produced, Cookie Queens, there were plenty of open seats at the Eccles Theatre. As the film began, roughly 150 unoccupied spots remained on the balcony. It wasn't even close to being a sellout.
Instead, they got what detractors called pageant diplomacy. And in Gossipland, hesitation equals headline. From there, every detail got magnified. The speech length, the stage presence, body language while the actual director waited her turn. Commentators dissected it frame by frame, painting a picture of someone who, in their view, loves the spotlight just a little too much to ever share it comfortably. Behind the scenes, another rumor gained traction, that the film had been completed long before their names were attached, that the executive producer credit came late in the game. That creative involvement might not match the red carpet prominence. None of that was proven on stage, but in the court of public opinion, speculation spreads faster than press releases. Then came the business sting, whispers that major streamers passed, that the project was shopping for a home instead of arriving with one. For a couple with a high-profile streaming deal, that narrative hurt a lot. And hovering over everything was the hypocrisy debate. Privacy versus publicity, media harm versus media tour, courtroom grief versus camera smiles. Fair nuance or strategic contradiction? Depends who you ask. But the question got louder this weekend. By the time photos hit social feeds, the commentary turned brutal. Outfit critiques, makeup critiques, body language breakdowns. Internet fashion police clocked everything from coat fit to color match. It stopped being about the film and started being about the image, and not in the glossy, aspirational way any team wants. Meanwhile, royal watchers drew their own comparisons, pointing out other high-profile figures connected to youth organizations long before this project appeared. Coincidence? Copycat? Strategic alignment? The debate spiraled, as they always do when monarchy, celebrity, and branding collide. What makes this moment sting isn't just one awkward Q&A or one half-empty screening. It's the pattern critics say they see. Big announcements, heavy messaging, polished speeches, followed by underwhelming follow-through. Supporters argue they're unfairly targeted. Detractors argue the results speak for themselves. Either way, Sundance became less about a documentary and more about a reputation check. And right now, the internet jury sounds divided, loud, and absolutely relentless. Was it truly a humiliation, or just another overblown chapter in the never-ending Sussex saga? Depends on your lens. But one thing's certain, this weekend didn't quiet the noise. It amplified it. The fallout didn't end when the lights came up and the credits rolled. If anything, that's when the real show started. Online, on panels, in group chats full of industry people pretending not to gossip while absolutely gossiping. Because once the Sundance moment escaped the mountains and hit the internet, the narrative split into two loud camps. One side said this was proof the Sussex magic had officially fizzled in Hollywood. The other said the couple were being judged by a harsher, almost gleeful standard that few public figures could survive. But in the middle of all that noise, one uncomfortable theme kept bubbling up: credibility. For years now, their brand has leaned heavily on authenticity, real stories, real struggles, real purpose. So when critics feel like something doesn't line up, they pounce. And Sundance gave them material. The executive producer question wouldn't go away. Film people especially get prickly about credits. It's a world where hierarchy and contribution matter, and where showing up late to a finished project, even if financially helpful, can raise eyebrows if you then become the face of it. To be clear, attaching your name as an executive producer is common in Hollywood. It happens all the time. But usually, the loudest voice at the premiere is still the director, the person who lived with the project for years. The optics at this event, fairly or unfairly, left some viewers feeling like that balance tilted in an awkward direction. Then there was the speech itself. Long enough to trend, polished enough to sound practiced, and centered enough on personal pride that detractors immediately labeled it self-congratulatory. Supporters heard a woman celebrating a project about girls and opportunity. Critics heard someone seizing a microphone like it was oxygen. Same footage, wildly different interpretations. But the cookie moment? That crossed fandom lines. Even neutral observers admitted it felt strangely impersonal. When a project is framed as a nostalgic, heart-connected story, people expect specifics: a smell, a memory, a favorite flavor tied to childhood. Instead, the answer sounded diplomatic, like it had been cleared by a publicist. That tiny hesitation became symbolic of a bigger accusation that follows her everywhere, that the personas curated first felt second. And because this is the internet, the commentary didn't stay philosophical. It got petty. Freeze frames, close-ups, outfit breakdowns like it was the Met Gala roast edition. Every detail became evidence in someone's argument that she's either trying too hard or not trying hard enough. It's the kind of scrutiny that would make most people hide for a year, but for public figures, it's just another Monday. Hovering behind all of it was the bigger business question: can they still open doors in entertainment? Early post-royal years were fueled by curiosity. Interviews broke records, documentaries pulled massive numbers, but curiosity is a limited resource. Once audiences feel like they've heard the core story, the next phase has to be about craft, not confession. Sundance was supposed to signal that transition. Instead, critics argue it highlighted how hard that pivot actually is. Streaming chatter made things murkier. Industry reporters and online commentators speculated about which platforms might pick up the film, which might pass, and what that would mean for their broader deals. None of that is simple. Acquisitions involve timing, budget, strategy, but in Gossipland, still shopping quickly turns into rejected, and nuance gets flattened into a meme. And then there's Harry, whose presence added another emotional layer. Fresh off emotional courtroom testimony about press intrusion, he stood on a red carpet smiling for photographers. Some saw resilience, a man supporting his wife's work despite everything. Others saw contradiction, fighting the media one day, feeding it the next. The truth is probably tangled, human, and somewhere in between. But in the court of public opinion, complexity rarely wins. Royal comparisons didn't help. Commentators drew lines between this project and long-standing work by other high-profile figures connected to youth organizations. Whether those parallels are coincidence, inspiration, or pure projection depends on who you believe. But once that narrative of copying enters the chat, it sticks like glitter, impossible to fully shake off. What really stung, according to critics, was the vibe shift. Early post-royal appearances had an aura of rebellious freedom, of two people carving a new path. Sundance, in their telling, felt less like trailblazing and more like chasing validation from an industry that hasn't fully embraced them. Again, that's one interpretation, but it's the one spreading fastest in entertainment circles. Still, there's another angle that gets quieter airtime. Maybe this is just what reinvention looks like in real time. Maybe the messy middle, awkward premieres, overanalyzed answers, projects that don't instantly soar, is part of building a second career from scratch. Hollywood is littered with A-listers who had flops before they had prestige hits. The difference is most of them didn't have royal titles and global tabloid obsession amplifying every stumble. But gossip doesn't wait for long-term arcs. It feeds on moments. And the Sundance moment delivered visual symbolism, viral quotes, perceived snubs, and a storyline that writes itself. Fall from grace, Hollywood rejection, image unraveling. It's dramatic. It's clickable. It's exactly the kind of narrative that follows them like a shadow. The irony? The documentary at the center of all this, about young girls' ambition and growth, got almost completely overshadowed by adult drama. The film became background noise to a reputational referendum. Fair? Probably not. Inevitable? Absolutely. So now the question hanging in the air isn't just, was Sundance embarrassing? It's bigger. Can they shift the conversation away from themselves and back to the work? Because as long as every project doubles as a personality test in the public arena, the art will keep fighting for oxygen. One festival, one premiere, one cookie answer. Somehow it all turned into another chapter in the longest-running royal-adjacent saga on the internet. A story where perception moves faster than facts, and every appearance is treated like a verdict. And if there's one thing this weekend proved, it's that the world is still watching. Not always kindly, not always fairly, but intensely, relentlessly watching.